Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Real Reds Talk, the realest channel on the planet. And welcome to your Wednesday night show. We've got a treat today. We've got Aaron and Sam, first and foremost. That's your first treat on the show. Second of all, we're going to discuss some news, all the latest news, Manchester United. And third, Sam's got something planned towards the end, which is basically the thumbnail. You'll know exactly what it is. But make sure you stick around for that because we're going to need your help most of all to get through it. So we'll discuss that towards the end. But the most recent news at the minute, lads, we obviously had breaking news this morning. Richard Arnold will leave Manchester United at the end of the year. An announcement will be made during the day at some point, which was official earlier on. And then Jean-Claude Blanc is set to become Manchester United's new CEO once Sir Jim Ratcliffe's minority stake is completed. Apparently, Manchester United also want Paul Mitchell as well. He's ready to sign. Some details have yet to be finalised. So, Sam, how did you react to this news when you first saw it? Are you apprehensive about who's coming in? Just give us your overall feeling just for now.
Finally getting football people in charge of football positions, which is refreshing, isn't it? You've got all these guys who've come in. Darren Fletcher, legend as a player, but does he have any experience being, what is his job role? Technical director?
Technical director. Yeah.
Does he have any experience? No. Richard Arnold, does he have any experience? No. John Murta? No. So it's just like all these people are from finance backgrounds or former players are in these positions where we need people of experience and people of like actual standing and contacts and all that good stuff. Well, that's what everybody else has, and United don't. And now it seems like this is the way we're starting to build, and we're starting to like change people at that part of the club, which will help us identify better players, better recruitment, stadium infrastructure, how we scout, how we train, all that stuff, which would then lead to results on the pitch, more success on the pitch, which means more trophies, and then obviously more money for the Glazers, which is the shit bit. But we're interested in the football bit because we can't control the ownership, and if the Glazers stay or go, it's up to them at the end of the day. So we've just got to sort of concentrate our matters on what's going on the pitch, and if this brings success on the pitch, then great. Don't forget the Glazers are still here. That's why we'll be green and gold until they die off old. Like, we're not going anywhere until they fuck off. So if we can get in as much success and the right people as possible while they're still here, that's better than the system we've got now, because the system we've got now just isn't working. Like, it's not working.
Yeah. It's like Brian says in the chat, the revolution has begun. First step in getting United back to the top. Next step is getting Paul Mitchell, which we'll discuss very shortly. But when you reflect on Richard Arnold's time here, Aaron, I mean, I don't expect specifics and stuff, but just, you know, kind of looking from afar, how would you say he's done?
Doesn't need to be said.
You tell me, mate.
Nah, do you know what? I actually read about him a bit today, and I didn't know he was like instrumental in getting the Adidas deal. So, you know, fair play to him, and I kind of looked at a different perspective where it's like, mate, if they offered me that job at United now, I don't know nothing, but I'm going to take it. You know what I mean?
Look at the pay cut.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's not a bad guy. Like, I'm sure he's not.
Well, there was that interview with him, wasn't there, at the pub, where he was like,
yeah,
mate,
with his
burning through cash and all this, and then he goes and spends 85 million quid on Anthony, and you're like, all right, mate.
Yeah, the guy spent most of summer camped out in Barcelona, didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
Just sitting in restaurants every day. But now, he'll know deep down, and we all know he's not been a success, but, I mean, he shouldn't have been in that position anyway. He's probably a good commercial side. He's probably done a lot for the club that we don't know commercially. That obviously doesn't get talked about. But in terms of dealing with transfers, players, football side of things, he had no business being there. Yeah, so 16 years or whatever he's been at the club. We ain't going to miss him.
I think that's the issue with a lot of these people, even in the people like John Murta and that, is that they've been packaged as this new person who's coming who's going to take charge.
Yeah, but they're not.
They've been at the club for fucking years, man.
Didn't,
and it's like,
didn't John Murta come in with David Moyes?
Yeah. 2013 came in with Moyes.
Also, Ed Woodward was a banker who went to University of Bath, is it, or Bristol? Which one?
Bristol, I think it
Bristol.
was.
and a finance expert, and we replaced Ed Woodward with a new person who also went to University of Bristol, was a banker and involved in finance.
Yeah. It's
turns out he was actually Ed Woodward's roommate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's mates rates like throughout in it. I think that's the issue, and I think that's one issue that Ratcliffe has identified, and like, no, this can't go on any longer. Like, look at the last 10 years.
I like the way they packaged it, as in Richard Arnold's walked away.
He's stepped down from his position.
Yeah.
No, he's been told to step down, otherwise he's gonna get fucking fired.
I imagine it's not like when we lose a job or we leave a job, though, is it? I bet he gets a massive fat payout when he leaves his job.
Oh, yeah. I bet his pension's unbelievable as well.
I bet that makes the stepping away from the role a lot easier, doesn't it, when you've got a couple fucking million getting in your bank.
A nice money cloud to land on. But on a more serious note, lads, if you look at some of the other things that he's dealt with, or I don't know if that's the right word to describe it, the Mason Greenwood situation, the whole PR scandal around that, the fact that he planned to bring him back, he had a process that he was going to go through, only to kind of abandon that plan because of the way everyone reacted. And again, that suggests, Sam, that we are more of a reactive club than proactive, innit?
That he should have been fired just for that handling alone. Like, he should have just stepped away from that role for the handling of that. Like, the right decision was to not bring him back to the club. That was the correct decision. And even that, they cocked that up. It's like, that is the easiest win there. That's like an open goal of like a PR win. Just don't bring him back and you're in the clear. But you still trying to find a way to bring this guy back, despite all the protests, the people who were against it, fans, women's team members, etc. And the fact that he didn't even sort of consult, for example, women domestic abuse charities and stuff like that is shocking as well. And they just thought they could force it through and nobody would give a shit. But much like the Super League thing, which obviously he wasn't at fault for, but the Glazers tried to force things through like we would accept it, and we didn't. Same thing with the Greenwood situation. People weren't going to accept it, and the fact that he was arrogant enough to think he could and just push it through and nobody would care is ridiculous. So he should have been fired for that. Commercially, like Aaron said, he's probably done wonders. I know he was instrumental in the Adidas deal. I think the Chevrolet deal as well, he was quite instrumental in.
Yep.
So commercially, United have been doing better than they ever have. It's just everything else has been neglected at the club, the football side. That's the problem. And that's what we need. We need people in a footballing position to get this club, football-wise, back to the top of the game. Because commercially, we're absolutely running the show. But footballing-wise, we're dropping and we're sinking fast.
Well, one of the names that's being linked to it, and very, very strong favourite, if you will, Aaron, is Jean-Claude Blanc, one of the most experienced sports marketing executives that is out there. When Juve were going through all the shit what they was doing with the scandal when they got dropped down and relegated and all that kind of shit, he was the one who kind of came in, settled things, got them back to a decent financial level, and got them back up to like second, first, competing at the top again, and done a wonderful job at PSG. Oversaw him win like 50 trophies there as well. Someone like that coming in, does that fill you with confidence now for the future of the club?
Yeah, I think I'd even have confidence Jean-Claude Van Damme coming in over over Richard Arnold, but now, yeah, because you can look at his CV, like you've reeled it off there, and I'm sure there's more. You can look at the pedigree of a person, and it just fills you a bit more confidence. Like, yeah, this guy must have an idea. He must have some sort of idea. Everyone else we've brought in, they're always like, oh, it's the first time stepping into the role, or we don't know nothing about him, or
makes rates.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the Glazers are friends with him, or they've worked with him, and they know they can keep him on the string and on the leash.
Lying in their pockets, that's when they're happy. They're like, I don't give a shit what else you're doing, mate.
It's just anyone that's got the job. It's like fucking could be the guy that does Joe Glazer's MOT on his car or something could have got the job. It's like crazy, man. Like the amount of people we've had in positions that shouldn't have been there, and now it's starting to feel like we're going to bring him in, possibly Paul Mitchell, and I don't know. I'm still optimistic. Like I think because we've been hurt so many times before, it's like, oh, what if it goes wrong? What if it doesn't go right? But I'm optimistic. Yeah. Sorry, pessimistic. Yeah, it's like it's just skeptical about like, oh, the amount of players that have come in that should have hit the ground running, the amount of things we've done that should have worked on paper, that would have worked anywhere else. It doesn't seem to work at United. I feel a bit cursed. But yeah, we're bringing in someone that knows what they're doing, or at least you'd appear to know what they're doing. And it's only a step in the right direction. Surely things can only go up from here.
Yeah. Well, you like to hope so, innit? Sam, you've always been a realist since as long as you've been on this channel.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this could go as badly as other appointments? Or do you think this is a step in the right direction now, and you think once they start moving on people like John Murta and these kind of guys, are you optimistic about the future of Manchester United?
Whilst the Glazers are in charge and they still own the club, they still have majority, there's always going to be the risk it goes tits up, because they are incapable of doing the right thing for this club. The only thing they do right for this club is earn it a shit ton of money, but none of that money goes into the club, it goes in their pockets. So that's the only thing they're good at. So it could always go tits up while those parasites are still here. But you kind of have to mitigate the chance of that happening as much as possible. And I think we're doing that by bringing in the likes of John Murta, hopefully John Murta, fucking hell. Bringing in Jean-Claude Blanc and Paul Mitchell, so you mitigate them having any influence over the footballing side as much as possible and get the right people in to make correct decisions. And then if we're successful on the pitch, it means more money, which obviously means more money in their pockets, but at least then we can enjoy good football, we can enjoy winning trophies, we can enjoy good players coming to the club and the right attitudes and the correct training and all that sort of stuff. We can enjoy all that sort of stuff because they took that away from us. Like, not only did they take all the money out of the club and siphon it away from the club, they then took the art of the game, the football itself, the winning, the style of play. Because once Fergie left, it was just on the way down footballing wise the entire time, and it was worrying me for years, like, because I didn't see a way out of it. As long as the Glazers were still in charge, I did not see a way out of it. And now it's a Jim coming in, hopefully a plan of him taking over the club eventually. And this is his first step of getting Jean-Claude Blanc and Paul Mitchell and the footballing people. If this is his first step, I've got hopes for the future. But again, like Alan says in the chat, cautious optimism. Like, go in with cautious optimism.
You called me Alan then.
I thought that for a second.
There's a guy in the chat called Alan.
Alan Gregory. Got a ring to it, though.
Alan Gregory. Yeah, go in with cautious optimism. So be ready, because things might go wrong. There might be a couple of hiccups along the way, but these are steps in the right direction. Obviously, we're not going to be all the way there until the parasites are gone. Once they're gone, then a true revolution and a true change will happen. But while they're still here, it's going to be limited success for now.
Well, it's going to start with recruitment and things like that. They're going to be main objectives. And there's been some news in regards to recruitment. Sorry, I've got a fucking giant headache because we're struggling to concentrate. In regards to recruitment, there's been some news. Fabrizio Romano put something out before about the Benfica midfielder, João Neves. Apparently, United scouts were in attendance at the Benfica game to watch him. The Portuguese midfielder, born in 2004, being monitored by United scouting department, monitored being the key word there, of course, and waiting for board changes to make future decisions. I've watched bits of him, Aaron. I don't personally see him coming in and being Casemiro's direct replacement as a six, but maybe an Eriksen replacement in that regard. Not sure if you watched anything of him at all, but is that a priority position for you going into January slash summer?
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've seen anything. I've heard the name. I've not seen him play, but it shows some sort of proactiveness, which we've lacked. Obviously, he's born in 2004, so he's a young player. Something that we've not really scouted. We seem to get the oldies in and hope that they'll do the job. Midfield is probably an area for me, because you've got like the likes of like McTominay. Not good enough. He's had his moments this season where obviously he's come in clutch, hasn't scored goals, but for me, like long term, probably not good enough. We've still got guys like Donny van der Beek who don't even kick a ball anymore at United.
You've got such an agenda against Donny.
He hates Donny so much. He hates
do you know what? I was like thinking in my head, do I rip on him or not? But it's like, even even still, like, he's taking up a wage. That's another player that could be on the books. You know what I
He's
mean?
definitely in your flop 11 in there when we get down to that later on. I can see him
He's
being
not,
the
you
captain
know.
of that
He's
team.
not.
Mate. Is he not? Right, interesting. We'll get into that shortly, but go on.
But yeah, there's still like question marks about that position. Amrabat, is he going to stay on? Has he really lived up to what we thought he was going to be? I know you've been vocal saying that you don't know if he's quick enough. So yeah, midfield is probably a big area. Probably another striker and a centre back. But I'm reeling off all these positions, and then I'm thinking, oh, possibly a right back, a winger. But nice.
Weird, isn't it?
Midfield does need addressing. I think last season we all said midfield needed addressing. We brought in Mason Mount. Obviously, devised an opinion on where he's going to play, like what system, and I don't think he's really shown that he fits in at the minute. Ten Hag don't really seem to fancy him. I don't know what's going on there. So yeah, another midfielder in January, I'd welcome that.
Absolutely. And when you look at his age profile, like Aaron mentioned there, Sam, 24, not 24, born in 2004, sorry, which would make him, 21?
That's sickening, that, isn't it? He's born in 2004.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Disgusting.
I think that's like when Treyas was born, or at least close to it. I know Paul Mitchell has a philosophy, Sam, where he usually only signs players that are under 24. Is this the route you would want to go down? And how would you manage the recruitment, let's say, going forward? What kind of players would you want to bring in?
Yeah, because like when you build teams, like if you're signing 30 plus or 29, 30 plus, these players are coming in because they want to win something now. Like they haven't got time to build, to develop, to get up to speed. Because by the time you do that, they're 33, 34 and they're on the decline. Likes of Casemiro, likes of Eriksen, likes of Varane. Like good players, really, really good players, and done well for us, but the projects we're on and the level of building and redevelopment we have to do is going to take years. And these guys aren't going to be at that level. So it doesn't make any sense. If you're in a development phase and you're in a rebuilding phase, it doesn't make sense to bring them in. As good as they are and as much as I like them, it doesn't make sense because they're not going to be around and they're not going to be at the top level when you actually get a chance to win things. Like you saw Arsenal over the last... I hate to fucking praise Arsenal, but you've seen it. They've got rid of the people that were being issues and stuff like that, and then they brought in young players to develop and players from their academy. So you got the likes of Nketiah, who's come in and hit the ground running. Odegaard they brought in. What's the winger called? Gabriel. Is he academy prospect or did they buy him?
I don't know. I think Martinelli's academy.
Saliba and stuff like that. These players who were dead young, they developed and then they brought them in. And they made a title charge last season. Bottled it, which I fucking loved. But they made a title charge. And then they're at the point now where these players are at the level where they can start to win things. So then this summer, they decided, right, we're going to spend big and get the actual big pieces of the puzzle into things. And Declan Rice came in, who I don't know why we weren't in for him, because he's our ideal midfielder. He's perfect midfielder. And we didn't even like put a thing in for him. And they've realised, all right, we're at this level now. So to get to the next step to win, we need to bring in the correct players. We've skipped that step of bringing in the developing players, getting them to work together to a system, gelling, and building up to a point where we could push towards a title but not quite win. We've skipped that thing and just brought in winners and expected to win something. And it's just modern football don't work that way, man. It doesn't work that way. So I think Paul Mitchell's method is really correct. I think you go after young, exciting talents, and you go after a lot of them. And you bring them in, see what they could do. Some might need a couple of years loan. Some might come into the first team and need to be around the first team. Others might just hit the ground running and just fucking like be absolutely fantastic. Like Jeremy Doku. I know we speak about him every fucking week, but 40 million. How old is he? 22?
21. Same age as Antony.
21, and he's just absolutely destroying the league. Absolutely destroying the league. So this is what you do. You identify these people and then you have different development plans. So they all get ready at different points, and then you can bring it together. And there's a plan. We don't have a plan. We just every summer we just go, who's available?
Yeah. Who's the most obvious, expensive signing?
Get him. It's a stupid system. So hopefully, with likes of Paul Mitchell and likes of John Blanc, we can have that system in place. It's going to take a few years, and people are going to get annoyed because we're going to sign people like this João Neves, and we're going to sign people like Jean-Claire Todibo, and people go like, who's the fuck's this guy? I don't know who he is, but you know what I mean? And just get annoyed because we're not signing Varane, we're not signing Anthony, not excited these exciting players.
Can't win either way, innit? Like,
No,
whoever you
exactly.
go for.
So build your team, and in 3-4 years, hopefully you see the results of it. That's the idea.
Yeah.
I always feel like you need a mix, though. You need that mix of young and then not old, but you need someone that around hitting the prime or just hitting the prime.
Well, you have your Brunos, for example, in it, the captain, 28, 29 years old, which is probably the perfect age in it. But when, like, we're mentioning players like Varane, injury prone to fuck. Casemiro, in my opinion, I still think he's fucking quality. I still think he's one of our better players. But Eriksen, for example, 31, definitely on the decline now. Not great physically in terms of on the pitch.
The problem is, as well, you need players who know what Man United's about in a club, like academy prospects and stuff. You need them to step up, and we haven't had that this season. Rashford ain't stepped up. Like, he's not. Like, he had a good season last season, but he's not stepped up this season. And then you're looking like, who from the academy or who knows what Manchester United is about is going to step up. And you look at fucking Kobe Mainoo. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's fucking poor kid.
He's not had even a full season under his belt.
You're looking at that guy to sort of like get a hold of it, and he's just like, that's not fair to him. Like, that's not fair at all.
Do you know where you said, Sam, about feel like we've skipped the integrating youngsters part? I don't think we've been able to do it. I just like, in terms of the managers changing, the football's changing, we have no identity. Young players are getting lost at United over the past whatever years. Since Fergie, obviously you've had Rashford come through, McTominay, but the likes of like others that just remember like Januzaj, we all thought he was going to be the next big thing. Mate, we were playing like looking backwards football under Van Gaal and that, and players just get lost in that. There's too much pressure. Come on.
There's Angel Gomez, like, he was a exciting talent. I don't know where the fuck he is anymore. Teddy Menke's at fucking Luton. Like, that kid was killing it.
I was just about to say, you look at Chong and Elanga, they were never going to be starters at United, but they actually look like credible footballers now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At United, they didn't get that chance, and when they do, there's like the weight of the world's on him.
Well, we killed Elanga, didn't we? Like, Elanga, we played him into the fucking ground because he had a good couple of games, and then Rangnick just ran him into the ground because he was the only player who was actually playing well. I mean, ran him into the ground, which you shouldn't do with youth players. Like, you can't just run him into the ground. Like, it's stupid.
In fairness, you know what? I look at the age profile of some of the other teams, like, who are successful at the moment. Let's take Man City, for example. Like, Haaland's age, Foden, all these guys, even Doku. Like, they can go for the next 5-6 years. They've got a settled team. They can just keep doing what they're doing. It's going to take us a while even to get to that point, like 2-3 years before we even start thinking about things like that. But having said that, I do think we do have young talents at the team, if they're in the right environment and they're nurtured right, can become them players like Pellistri, Garnacho, Ahmad, these kind of guys. But when you're coming into it, like the way our season's gone so far, when they're coming into a team in the form that it's in, where it's patchy everywhere and there's no consistency and there's no players playing with each other, like constantly.
Injuries as well.
Like, it's just a fucking nightmare for any young player to come into, and like that's why probably I wouldn't want to rush someone like a Kobe Mainoo into this team, because I'm like, you'll just fucking destroy the kid. Like, let him just develop naturally.
People are crying out as well. Like, I've seen on our chats and on our comments and stuff, play Mainoo. It's just like, no, I don't. This kid's going to just get destroyed by this like state of this team and the way we're playing. It's not a good environment for him.
We don't have the characters to bring the young players up. So, like, you look at City, you can turn to what Kevin De Bruyne, who's been there for whatever. Bernardo Silva's been there. Kyle Walker. John Stones has been there long enough now. Liverpool, you look, they've got Van Dijk, Alisson. They had Jordan Henderson, Mo Salah. Do you know? They know what the club is. They know the in and out. They know what they need to be doing. You look at United, and who do you look at? Who would you turn if a young player? Like, you hear Gary Neville say it all the time. Like, if a young player's struggling or whatever at half time and his head's down, who's the one player that will go and lift him up? And I don't see anyone.
There's a lack of
Bruno
with the injuries. Like, Bruno would be, but then he's thrown his toys out the pram a lot in big games. I think players like Lissandro are really important, but because he's been out injured a lot,
but he's brand new as well. Though,
really missed him.
He's brand new as well.
Yeah, but he has them qualities in it, as a leader. Like, he looks like the type of guy who will command you and will, put an arm around you when you need it.
You'd want people like Rashford. Rashford is the ideal guy that you'd want to step up and represent Manchester United. He came through the academy, got a debut because of an injury, and then just never looked back. and you think, like, that's the kid, that's the guy you build on, and he's not stepping up.
He doesn't show that, does he?
That's
Even his personality, though, like
that's what I'm saying.
He's very moody in games.
Do you know what I really hate in games?
Like you don't want to be there.
The game I've seen games, if a ball doesn't go in the right way or someone don't spot his run, he stands there and puts his arm out. It's like, you don't want to see that from the guy. Like, you represent Manchester United, fucking like lead by example. Like, you wouldn't see Roy Keane doing that. You wouldn't see Gary Neville doing that. You wouldn't see Brian Robson doing that.
Yeah,
get hold of it, mate.
His body language is fucking all over the shop, innit? And I think that's the same with a lot of players, to be honest, at the club. And that's why players don't succeed, because of the environment. I'm going to read out a few comments, and then we can get into what we're here for, the flop 11, which we'll discuss very, very shortly. Dino Lewis saying, I'd rather sign Paulinho from Fulham, cracking player, great replacement for Scotty or Casemiro.
How much, though, is he going to cost?
Yeah, and I think he'll go to Bayern. To be honest with you, I think he'll end up going Bayern anyway. We'll lose Casemiro, Eriksen and Scotty by the end of the summer transfer window. Mainu hopefully steps up, sign Paulinho, one more, our midfield will be sorted. Brian saying, I think you need to have a mix of experience and youth in the squad, need leaders to show the younger players the way. And Alan MC says, the only irregular starters from the current crop that I'd fight to keep hold of are probably Onana, Martinez, Garnacho and Bruno. UK Strain says, biggest flop, Sanchez, Lukaku and Donny. Dino says Donny's been a massive flop, totally forgot about him. And then Brian says, one thing Sir Jim, Jean-Claude Blanc and Paul Mitchell need to do is go to the academy, install the style of play that United need to be playing from the age 12, 13. They learn the United way. Agreed. All very smart comments there.
It's a good comment from Brian, because I think me and Chivy talked about this. When we played Newcastle in the Cup, they obviously had their C team out, and they all played the way Newcastle liked to play. They all understood, all knew what positions they had to be in and how they worked and what they were trying to do. Our team looked like they were just running around like headless chickens. Just no clue. And it's like, if their C team know what they're doing and they're that well drilled, I don't understand why we aren't. I don't get it.
I'm really not looking forward to that Newcastle game, away when we get back. I think that's going to be such a nightmare, even with the fucking injury issues that they've got. Like, I think we're going to struggle. Speaking of struggling, should we get into the flop starting 11 for Manchester United? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comments, maybe some controversial players in there as well.
So.
But Sam, do you want to kick
let's
things
do
off?
it. I stole this idea from Paddock. Jay, don't kill me. He'll be on the show tomorrow, so please don't kill me, Jay. Stole the idea from you. I just thought it was a great idea, and I thought while the international break was on, it'd be nice to have some fun content rather than just talking about how shit United are. We'll go on to actual shit players. So the game is, Nick and Aaron are going to both pick an 11 of players that came to United in the Premier League era, so we're not going to go back to before the Premier League started. In the Premier League era, that came to United and flopped. Now, they might have been good at other clubs, and they might have got on from United and been good at other clubs after, but when they came to United, they flopped. And that's the idea. It's going to be a draft. So if Nick, say, picks someone in a goalkeeping position, Aaron then can't pick that player.
No, that's going to be tough, that.
Yeah. So, but what we'll do to make it fair, so whoever gets the first pick, the second guy then gets 2 picks. So then you get to pick your first choice for the next position. So then we make it nice and fair. So it's doesn't just go back and forth. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the idea. So we're going to do 4-3-3 just to make it nice and simple, because I don't want people dicking around with like 4-5-1 formations. They're going to fit 5 flop midfielders in and stuff. So we'll do 4-3-3, and then we'll stick it on socials and we'll stick it on here, and you guys can vote for which you think is the biggest flop 11. All make sense?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Perfect. Who wants to go first?
What is it they say in 8 Mile? I'll let this bitch go first. Can't remember what he says.
Aaron, you can pick. If we start, let's start the goalkeeper. Let's go with goalkeeper first. Give us your flop goalkeeper for Manchester United.
I'm gonna go Fabian Barthez.
Barthez.
He was one of mine. He was one of mine.
Why? Why Barthez?
Just because obviously he came with a reputation, World Cup winner, and he was like the first goalkeeper I really remember for United. That came in after Schmeichel, and I think there was like excitement around him. And I remember some of his games, and it was like, mate, what are you doing?
Do you think in a modern era? Do you think in a modern era he'd be a good goalkeeper?
Do you know what? A lot of people say that. He was like the first sweeper keeper, but Yeah, in that.
Manuel
in that
Neuer's
era.
like, excuse me, mate. And like, no, Bartes was before you,
Yeah.
pal. He was the one doing it.
I just remember like they were like my early days of football, my first memories, and sometimes he'd come flying out, or you'd be thinking, "What is this guy doing?" Like, no one had ever seen it.
Yeah. Did he take a piss? Did he take a piss in one game as well?
Yeah.
World Cup winner, innit?
Yeah.
Bartes.
And I remember going to a game and being right behind the goal in Stretford End, and then we had like 90% possession. I can't remember who we played, and he was doing the fucking like loosey goosey in the goal and dancing and shit, like out of his fucking mind.
I remember one of the first games that I went to, or that I remember, it was United against Spurs, and I'm sure it was like a 1-0. Ruud van Nistelrooy scored, and it was like, I remember I was in the Stretford End and he was fucking warming up, and I remember watching him warming up. I was thinking, this guy is crazy, man. He's like, why don't you like a normal warm up?
Yeah, he's off his head, isn't he? Essence of Onana, Onana's a bit erratic, innit? He can do some fucking a bit crazy shit. But yeah, I was just gonna go with Bartes, but Shah Sam's put mine in there as well. Victor Valdez, simply again because of the reputation, huge for Barcelona. Came in, was it on a free?
We got him on a free.
On a free, which this is why it's like, the thing is, it depends how you're kind of defining a flop in it, because if you spent a lot of money and they don't live up to that reputation, that I think that's what they define as a flop. Valdez came on a free, so there's not that much risk involved with it, but I thought with his reputation, he was just like, didn't really show anything at all.
A Barcelona player in Barcelona's prime, like one of their like greatest periods in their history.
Yeah.
And then he comes and just, Do
you know what? Do you know why I thought of Valdez, and he was like near the top of the list of what I was going to pick? But the only reason I didn't was because he didn't get many chances. So
yeah,
when he came in, I couldn't remember if he was bad or not. So obviously he came in as a number 2. So that was like the only reason I didn't really go with him.
I think a lot of people fucking forget that we signed Valdez, isn't it? To be fair,
and didn't he go to Middlesbrough and do decent after us?
You might be right, yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure he did. We had a lot of goalkeeping issues between Schmeichel and Van der Sar, didn't we? There was a bunch of goalkeepers who were just like shocking.
Yeah.
Like Mark
was that Taibbi or something?
Taibbi he lasted 4 games, I think. Terrible.
Yeah.
That was just before my era. That's why I didn't go for that.
Bosnich was a cokehead and absolutely terrible. Who else did we have? Anders Lindegaard, that guy.
Lindegaard. You had Thomas Kuszczak, Roy Carroll.
Yeah.
As well.
Ben Amos.
Tim Howard.
Tim Howard as well, yeah. There was a bunch of just... And then we got Van der Sar and everybody went, thank God.
Fucking praise the Lord, mate. Praise the Lord, we've done it.
All right, so because Aaron went first, you do your next pick. So do you want to do your right back? Do your right back.
Yeah, that's the reason why. Yeah, that's
the reason why. I know where it is.
Hold on.
I know it. But before you do, everybody in the chat guess. I want to see if anybody gets it, because I know exactly.
This is why I didn't pick this right back.
I thought, right, I'm gonna let him go first. I'll let Aaron go first because I need this right back. No one could beat me to it. So the right back that I've gone for is Darmian. It's fucking Darmian.
Of course.
I mean, I've never met the guy in my life. I probably wouldn't like him if I did meet him. The way he played was boring. I'd never understood the signing in the first place when we did sign him. I was just like, who is this guy, man?
Jose signing.
No, Van Gaal. Was
it Van Gaal signing?
I'm sure it was Van Gaal.
It was a Jose signing.
Is it Jose signing? Pretty sure.
I'm trying to think of the first season that he was.
Let me double check that.
Did he play centre back as well at points? Didn't we play him at centre back?
He played at centre back.
It was a Van Gaal signing. It was, yeah.
He played at centre back in the final against City for Inter Milan. Believe it or not.
Mental.
Right, where's United? So 2015 we signed him. So yeah, it would have been Louis van Gaal, wouldn't it? 12.9 million quid, and then he went to Parma.
He came when we had that first Adidas kit, that first one. That was the season he arrived.
It probably sold no shorts, no shirts out of it whatsoever. It's just just the most average right back I think I've ever seen on the planet.
I always thought he looked like a bit of a werewolf, like his sideburns and his.
That was another thing that annoyed me. Thank you for mentioning it. Like, he didn't have a full beard. He had chops on his cheeks, and it just No idea. Like a BTEC Wolverine or some shit.
Isn't it weird how he was so bad for United and then went into like obscurity for a few years and then ended up at Inter Milan in the Champions League final, starting.
Well, it's happened with United players when they've gone to Italy. They've gone and won things. Yeah. Well, but if I was an Inter Milan fan, I'd be livid if he was captain. But anyway, he's my right back in that fucking Darmian. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Right, Aaron, give us your right back.
You know what? I found it hard to pick a right back because I knew Darmian was going to Nick. So I picked. Do you remember a player
Varela, yeah,
Gilberto Varela, I think.
Yeah.
South American. Was that?
Yeah. I can't really hate on the guy and say that he should have lived up to an expectation or something. He just didn't have enough of right back. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. To be fair, when you look at right backs, like Valencia, Delo, Neville. It's not like
Raphael's good as well. So,
yeah. Mate, Darmian's going in there. Was it just Darmian?
Yeah. I think.
Sorry, Gilberto Varela. Okay, let's put him down.
Do I go centre back?
Yeah, so you've got what are your centre backs?
Take your fucking pick, mate.
Big Philly Jones.
Phil Jones. Last Fergie signing?
Jones.
Is the last Fergie signing? Phil Jones?
What? Yeah, De Gea and Phil Jones.
Zaha was the last one, wasn't it?
Zaha.
But yeah, man, Big Philly Jones, a man that was labelled the next Duncan Edwards.
I know.
Fucking hell.
See that boy who played out there? He could be one of the greatest centre backs ever.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
And I'm sure he didn't start terrible, from what I remember.
No, he was good. For 2 years, him and Smalling were decent. They were decent.
And he played...
Injuries fucked him up really bad.
Yeah. He played centre mid as well sometimes, wasn't looked all right.
Like a DM, yeah.
So, yeah, I had expectations for him. I actually thought he was going to be real good, and then he just became a meme for the rest of his career. But, yeah, the injuries did play a part, but for what he was billed as, he's definitely got to be a flop for United. I mean, for the past, last like 4 or 5 years, he didn't even barely kick a ball.
He's still there. He's still there as well, and he's doing coaching for the...
he's that guy you'll never get rid of.
Yeah.
Nah, he'll be there. Well, unless Sir Jim Ratcliffe gets his fucking hands on him, then he might be like, yeah, time to go, Phil, mate. I've got a pension.
You thought like he was gonna like go and have an actual career. Remember when Bordeaux came in for him, and you think, he's gonna go, he's gonna actually play, and then he just went, nah, I'm not doing it. Can't be bothered.
And then when Rooney went DC United, he wanted Phil Jones. He was like, oh, he might actually go now, and he was like, nah, I'm staying, mate.
Yeah, forever and ever.
Fucking hell, Phil Jones. All right, Phil Jones is in there. Nick, give us your centre backs.
I had a few, I was like, I had Jones on my list as well, but I think I have to go with Maguire for the price that we paid for him. Maguire. Yeah, the price, 80 million quid, with the most expensive centre back ever. Like, he's got to be in there. Cause look, he's not as awful as some of them on the list in terms of ability, but for what you're expecting for that price, you expect a fucking Beckenbauer, a Baresa, a kind of art, these kind of guys. And he is so far away from that. It's unbelievable.
Plus being handed the captaincy as well, like the captaincy thing.
That's what I mean. The captain of United, like, he cost us on so many occasions. It's just, and the reason we had one of our worst seasons ever, he was a big part of that as well. So for me, he has to be fucking in that flop category. Alongside Bone Shaker Jones.
Devil's advocate, he was decent for us for that year when they run up to the Europa League final with Ollie.
Yeah.
He was decent because we were crying out for him when he was injured. We were crying out to have him back. So to be devil's advocate, he was decent. But since that period,
first season?
Yeah. First season.
Yeah, he was good first season.
Since that period, he's been absolutely shocking. He's had a bit of a revival in recent weeks, but I don't see it ever sort of like reaching the lasting. Give us your other centre back as well, then,
Nick. Which other one should I go for? I did have Rojo, but then he's just a mental patient, so I love
Rojo so much.
But then equally, the other one, I was like, no, I don't know how to put him in. I'll go with Eric Bailly. Just because.
How dare you?
Do you know what? That was mine.
Because, right, he's had moments where he's looked really, really good, and I've wanted him to actually be in the starting 11 consistently because the ability that I saw, but he was so rash. He was so fucking risky in games. He'd just snap someone or he'd do something mad. Like, do you remember the derby where he's just fucking. Did he get sent off, or he did? There was like a goal that went off him or something. I knew that was going to happen because Eric Bailly's on the pitch.
I remember him. There's a ball came into the box, and instead of clearing it with his head, he bicycle kicked it. Kicked it out of his. And he's like, "What? Why? Why have you done this?"
He had you on pins, mate. Like you're having Onana and Bailly in the same team now. It's just like trying not to look at the game. His injuries as well, which obviously isn't his fault, but you could never ever rely on him. So that was frustrating in that regard. And yeah, I think we paid 35 million under Jose for him. So the price tag as well at the time is relatively expensive. So yeah, I put Eric Bailly in there.
I love the craziness of Eric Bailly. I thought he was out of his fucking tree. But as we saw when he went to, is he at Marseille now? Is that where he is?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No.
He went on loan. He went on loan to Marseille. Now he's at
Besiktas.
Yeah, he's at Besiktas in Turkey.
Yeah, did he get like an 8-game ban for drop kicking a guy in the chest or something? Like
at Marseille. He did. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's just fucking. Yeah, loose wire. Let's just say.
Yeah, it's definitely a good shout. Aaron, give us your other centre back, and then we'll do your left back.
I also thought about Rojo. But
don't you dare put Rojo in it.
I love the.
Don't you dare
any
put
guy
Rojo
that sits there on the pitch smoking a cig with a beer and
just toast.
I can't.
The toast
in my eye.
The toast is just one of the best things that's ever happened.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go. I think people might hate on this decision, but I went with Daley Blind.
Oh.
Nice guy. Don't get me wrong. He didn't do anything wrong, as in like terms of attitude. He was always the ultimate pro, but he just didn't fit in. We didn't know where his best position was. When he played centre back, he looked slow. I remember being at a derby under Jose Mourinho, and there was a goal where the ball kind of bounced. It was like a 50-50, and Kevin De Bruyne nicked it off his toe and went and scored.
Yeah.
It was the one where where Bravo took out like Zlatan or something.
Yeah.
Or he took out Rooney. So yeah. I don't know. I just feel like he never really fit in. We never knew what his best position was. Was he a left back? Was he a centre back? Was he a CDM? But like I say, good guy, ultimate pro, but he just never fit in at United.
I didn't mind Blind. I thought it was okay, but I know what you mean. I always felt like that question. Wasn't it like, is his best position left back? Is it centre back?
Yeah, you didn't really know what he was.
Yeah. He was the sort of modern day John O'Shea, wasn't he? He's a utility player. Like, you brought it in and he could sort of play every position pretty much, but he wasn't outstanding in any position.
Yeah. And then in the back line, it was like it's a bit too small for centre back, a bit too slow for left back. He didn't really know where to put him.
Not physical enough for the defensive midfield.
Yeah, he just was lacked in each position.
Yeah, how much did we pay? How much did we pay for Daley Blind?
But I thought it was like 15 mil, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think the price tag was really. I think it was just what we expected.
17 million. If you're going to check it, I'll say 17.
What are you saying, Aaron?
Yeah, it's around that. I'm going to say 19. I don't think it was just over 20.
It was 14 million. Could rise to 18 with performance-based add-ons. So
yeah, sounds about right. To be fair, I thought he would come back. When Eric Ten Hag first thinged, I thought he might try bringing him back, but
because it was just there was hype around. Do you remember? He had a good World Cup as well before.
Good utility
and there was
player.
hype, and everyone thought, "Oh, we're going to get a nice ball playing," and it just never worked out.
Yeah, Aaron, give us your left back then.
See, I struggled on this one because there was one player that Nick will probably pick because of who I'm going to pick. But I think it was a bit unfair to call him a flop, so I never went with him. But I'm going to go with Alex Telles.
It's fair. It's a fair choice.
Yeah.
It's a fair choice.
Just never really lived up. Had a good reputation. Thought we was going to be the attacking fullback, push Luke Shaw. He was going to challenge
as
him.
Well. He was a good free kick taker.
And he just never lived up to what he did at Porto.
Mate, all the kids on FIFA would fucking love Tele. I had like a 94 rated card. Every single his free kicks was unbelievable. People thought he was getting a worlder when we signed him. And
he just wasn't that. He just didn't really do anything.
The one good thing he did. Do you remember the Champions League game? Was it Villarreal where he volleyed it?
Yeah.
That was the one thing I was like, oh my god, finally, it's technical fucking goal that he scored. Apart from that, it just didn't really do anything.
We were all buzzing that Luke Shaw had some competition, and mate, he was no competition at all. Luke Shaw probably could have chilled more than when he didn't have competition.
I know. Straight.
Yeah. Nah, that's a fair shout. I agree with Telles. Nick, left back.
Because he's gone for Telles.
I know who you're going to go for.
Well, someone put Butner in the chat, and I was going to go for Butner.
That's who I thought he was going for.
Yeah. People might not like this, and I didn't watch a lot. I watched bits of him, but I think was he coming from PSG? Gabriel Heinz. I don't know. I never had to say his name.
That's fair. Because he.
I thought he was sick.
He was all right.
Are you going to mention the reason why he should be on there?
Because he wants to go Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, that was one of the things I was going to mention. And then I think we signed him from PSG, and then he went to Real Madrid after.
Yeah.
And we sold him. But I just don't know. I don't know. We had that kind of European caliber, and every time I watched him, I got annoyed with him. Like, he did some good things, but then there's other things that it just frustrated the life out of me. So I wouldn't say he was a flop, but it was, I don't know. He just annoyed me. Not as much as Darmian, but I went for him because obviously you've gone for Telles.
He is a persona non grata for me because he was a guy who came to United and he said he wanted to go to Liverpool. So as far as I can see, he could go fuck himself.
You know what? I really liked him. Obviously, bar that decision, but as a player, I really liked him.
Yeah, it was 50-50 on him.
I can't forgive certain things. I can't forgive that. Nick, give us your. You don't have to be a DM, but just your deepest midfielder.
Okay. God, this is one where there's fucking multiple options, mate.
Go through it, mate.
I'm not worried about who Nick's picking because there's so many.
Nah, literally, that's what I mean. As the sixth, I've got 3 in mind. I'll go for. I don't know. It's tough because there's a lot.
Biggest flop is it? That's the idea. You got the biggest flop. So expectation.
I'll go Schweinsteiger then.
Schweinsteiger. That's good.
I'll go Schweinsteiger because the reputation he had at Bayern Munich, and then came to United. Again, injuries. It was just one of them where we bought a guy who was basically past his prime. Bayern Munich sell you someone, you know the script, you know what's going to happen, and he came, just didn't work out at all. Loved the guy. He still loves United. He still talks about us like he has a lot of admiration for us, but. In terms of flops, he did not live up to his expectation at all because he was insane for Germany and Bayern Munich.
He had one good game for us, didn't he? I can't.
Was it his last game when he scored?
Probably, yeah.
There was one game I can't remember who we played. There was a team, and I remember seeing it and just going, "This is the guy. This is the guy I wanted." Yeah. And it's just before and after didn't happen. But yeah, I like that he's still on social media and he talks about us and he posts about United all the time and stuff like that. Yeah, he gets it. But
he admired the club in it.
On the pitch.
Body never matched what his brain wanted to do.
He was a fan favourite, wasn't he? Like, we all loved him, even though he was old and we knew that he was past it.
Yeah. His legs were broken, weren't they? His legs were just fucking falling apart, which is a shame. But yeah, Aaron, give us your deepest midfielder.
See, I'm torn between Morgan Schneiderlin, who was absolute turd, and Owen Hargreaves. But I love Owen Hargreaves as a player, so I do not want to put him in.
He won a Champions League.
He had a first season. He was great. So I'm going to say Morgan Schneiderlin. I can still picture him with his fucking holding his shirt, that big Mohican haircut he had.
You know what? When we signed him, I was just like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? Like 25, was it Southampton 25 now?
Yeah.
Southampton had that period, didn't they, where they were playing decently and they sold all the best players like Mane when we got Shaw and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we picked the worst one.
Yeah.
Van Dijk.
Another DM that wasn't fucking successful. United.
When did he go? Did he go to Everton after that? After United?
He was shite there.
And then went to French League. I think that's where he's at.
Yeah, he went to Nice. Now I don't have a clue where he is. I don't care where he is. He was just fucking shite.
Yeah, he's fucking working somewhere else, man.
I won't have Hargreaves in there. He won us a Champions League.
That's what I love. I love Hargreaves too much.
Good pundit as well. I like him as a pundit, mate. A lot of people don't. I like him.
Do you know what? I cursed Hargreaves. I did because. We obviously first season he was mega, mate, I went and got him on my shirt next season. He played one fucking game and was done. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
He played one game for City.
He did a cruise shirt, didn't he? He did his cruise shirt, and then that was it. It's fucking over.
Yeah,
poor guy. All right, Aaron, give us one of your other midfielders.
So, right, I'm going to go for a number, probably like the number 8 now.
Yeah.
Let's not pick the same one I've fucking got in mind.
One of yours is going for the guy I've got in my head. There you go. Yeah, I know it.
Who?
I know it. Pogba.
Yeah, that was... yeah. I don't even disagree.
For that price tag and that announcement video where he's dancing around in his Adidas jacket, that was the most I've ever seen him move because he was shit at United.
The whole business sense around it as well. The fact that you let him go, you buy him back for that price tag, and then he goes again for free.
The fact that Mourinho basically, he didn't say it, but he did say it that it wasn't even his signing. He was kind of just bought for commercial reason. You got all these people on Twitter that used to stick up for him. Me, I could count on one hand Pogba's good games and probably still have 2 fingers left. The one against City, I remember he had one good game against...
only one half against City. It was his second half. First half, it was shite.
And then I remember him having a good game against Palace. I don't know why that's
Burnley. One against Burnley. I was going to mention the Burnley game. Yeah, that was another one.
And then I'm scratching my head then, trying to think of...
on his day, though. On his day, he's really good.
If you get the right players around him, just...
He needs someone to unlock him. That was the word, wasn't it? He needs unlocking.
Well, yeah, you need the whole French squad to unlock him because he does well. You need Mbappe, Kante, all these guys around him just so he does good.
Yeah,
luxury player.
He was terrible at United. And do you know what? I was so excited when we signed him as well because it was in a phase where I used to watch all football then. I used to watch a lot of Italian football, French football, and I used to see him playing for Juve. Some of the goals that he used to score, I used to think, wow, this guy's ridiculous. And then first season at United, he wasn't actually that bad. I remember first game of the season, I was there. We played Southampton. I think we won 1-0 or something. Zlatan scored a penalty, and he looked good. He had that close control, quick feet, he was showing, and then
long range passing as well. Really,
good. And then I feel like after that season, I don't know what happened to him.
He just started fucking stud rolling it in the middle of the park.
That used to infuriate me. I remember being in Old Trafford and watching him do it and then screaming at him. Just fucking pass the ball, man.
Or he'd get the ball and he'd kind of try and shield it, and he'd have 2 and want to just nick it off him all the time. And then he used to flounce, used to do that stupid walk where he was bowling around. Mate, just get off the pitch, no one cares.
I was hoping he would come up, and I'm glad you picked him because he had
to be the first midfielder that I could pick, 100%.
Yeah. All right, Nick, give us your 8 and your 10.
Right, because Aaron went for Pogba, I'll go with Veron. Just because Veron,
hurts me, it hurts me.
I know, but in terms of expectations, what he done in Italy, and when he came to United for whatever fucking reason, just did not work at all. And then of course he went on to Chelsea as well. But into what you want to buy, what you're getting, was no way near that at all for United. So I'd put Veron in there.
Lazio as well. He was so fucking good.
Killer, mate.
So fucking good. Go watch videos of him at Lazio. He's fucking amazing. And I remember being at a game with Dad, and there was an old guy behind us, and he was Veron was getting shit the entire game for the United fans, stuff. And this old guy was just going, "Leave poor Sabat alone. Leave him alone." It's just God.
It's a shame, innit? It's a shame because he was a solid player, but didn't work out for us.
Give us your 10.
My 10. I'll go with Mkhitaryan, I think. Yeah, there was 2 I was toying between, and both very good arguments. But Henrik Mkhitaryan, always, he was another one who Aaron didn't like it because he looked like he was going to cry all the time. But
you know what? I loved Mkhitaryan from what I saw at Dortmund, I was like, yo, this guy's mega.
Serious player.
He won Bundesliga Player of the Year 2 years running, and he was class.
15 goals. 15 goals, I think.
How many times have we seen that? Fucking hell, there's multiple players from Dortmund. We could talk about that. But yeah, Mkhitaryan's too flimsy. You had that whole kind of swap deal. You weren't happy going to Arsenal and blah, blah, blah. Like, that never worked out for me. And I think we paid like 30-odd mil for him as well. So, yeah, Mkhitaryan's the 10.
Can I just say, though, he gave me one of the best goals I've ever seen in my life. I was at that game
against flick.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I think it was against Sunderland on I think it was like a Boxing Day. It was around Christmas time.
Yeah, I think
definitely. Because I remember I went, I only got a ticket on the day, someone gave it me for free, and I seen that goal, mate, and that's good. That's the one good memory of him that I have.
Did he in Inter Milan as well? Wasn't he in the Champions League final at Inter?
Yeah. He's doing well there.
Yeah.
Is it what against City? Is he
Yeah.
playing? Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
There you go.
Just happens to be United players, isn't it? Inter Milan. It's in a bit.
Inter Milan to just win a title or in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So that was Nick's 10. So yeah, Aaron, give us your 10 and then give us either your right or left winger.
Yep. My 10 is not too far away from Mkhitaryan. It's Kagawa.
Oh, mate, no! You can't
I knew you was going to hate me for that. But another player was Bundesliga player of the season. Looked mega. I thought
so good about that, man.
I had my hopes up like I did with Mkhitaryan. It was Kagawa first, and then and it was like I thought. And do you know what? I felt sorry for him because when Fergie went, I feel like no manager really utilised him properly.
Never understood.
I feel like he was getting played out wide and stuff like that. And he just was not effective.
Matter,
innit? So I wouldn't say all on him, but I just feel like he didn't live up to what we thought we were getting at all.
Yeah. We need to stop buying players from Dortmund, don't we? Because we just don't have a record.
Yeah.
Never worked when we bought a player from Dortmund. It's just always been shit.
Or the one player we should have bought from Dortmund, Haaland, we didn't fucking go for.
Yeah. I loved Kagawa. He's one of my favourite players that wasn't any good at United. But I fucking loved that guy. Like, I so wished it. Like, there's so many players that came to United that I wish would have worked out. And he's probably in my top 3 that I wish would have worked. Because, like you said, at Dortmund, he was fucking incredible. He was so good.
Beautiful technician.
Yeah, shame. Give us, left or right winger, Aaron.
Again, take your fucking pick with this one, innit?
Yeah, because right winger, you could just go on forever. Just fucking.
There's too many, and I'm trying to think like.
Who's the strongest one? Who's the worst?
There's one obvious one that's obvious. There's one obvious one that's there right now. That's and he's going to do the fucking Dortmund trio that we've just said. But do you know who I'm going to go with on the wing?
Go on.
Fucking Obertan, remember him with a fat head?
Gabriel Obertan.
Yeah. He just because I swear every time he played. He used to run down the wing, but he just used to run it out. I'm sure, like, whenever I see him, I just thought, why does this guy always run the ball off the pitch?
We got rid of Ronaldo.
I was going to say, sold Ronaldo, but Obertan, Owen, and who was the other one?
And Valencia.
Well, he was like, in fairness, he was like £3 million from Bordeaux, I think. So, you're looking at it and you're like...
I'm just talking like he got multiple opportunities at United. He played as well.
As a Ronaldo replacement as well, like essentially.
Yeah,
he's replacing.
Not even.
And I know there's other names that you could pick, but just for at that time, for me, he was just like it was so frustrating to watch. I've never seen a winger that just runs out of play constantly.
Yeah. Does that mean I have to go for the snake then? Is that what I have to go for?
I mean, there's a couple. Like I'm surprised nobody's mentioned one of them, but maybe Nick's going to mention. So give us both of your wingers, Nick, and like tell me who's on which side.
Alright, who the fuck do I go for right now? Alright, Di Maria is going to be one of them.
Wait, you putting him on? Which side are you putting him on?
Oh, right wing. I'll have Di Maria on the right wing. Yeah.
Go on.
He's got to be there because I mean, I don't even have to tell the backstory of Di Maria. Everyone knows that fucking snake. So
how much? 60, 65?
60 million quid.
60 million quid.
Just from the fucking offset, mate. Well, I remember he scored that chip against Leicester, and I was like, oh my god, we've got a fucking certified
after that
player here. It all went downhill. There was like so many things that just went wrong with him. So, Di Maria, I would have in there. Who do we go for on the left? Well, yeah, it's Alexis Sanchez, isn't it?
I was gonna say
That was mine.
he had to come up. He had to come
Has
up.
to be Alexis Sanchez. The piano, the fucking 500 grand a week, just expectations again. The shit he was saying after he left, and even before he left, just complaining about certain things, just like get to fuck, mate. United had nothing to do with your downfall. You just had a downfall. You was fucking. I remember watching him against Yeovil Town, right, in the cup, and I was like, right, if there's gonna be a moment where you could at least stand out and be the player that we thought you could, it's against Yeovil, and I just was just
He
like,
looked shit. Yeah, I remember it.
nothing from it.
Is that the
Just
game where it was
absolutely-
1-0 and
I think
Herrera
so.
scored that banger?
Yeah.
And it's just never give me what I saw at Arsenal. I thought he was such an exciting player at Arsenal, but he was
And we
shit
got him,
for us.
snatched him from City as well. Like City went in for
Yeah.
him. We thought we've
And
got
that-
one over on City, and
That had such a long-term effect on us as well, in terms of trying to remove him from the club, paying half his wages. That 500 grand a week, that epitomised that signing, the Pogba signing, the Di Maria signing. I think them three are the strongest ones that epitomised
Yeah.
everything that Ed Woodward was about.
Yeah.
I think
for
the
me.
problem with Sanchez as well is we sort of got him in, and like you said, ruined the wage structure. But I remember as well that I read an Athletic article. Apparently, the first day he got to training at United, he didn't like it, and he asked his agent.
Yeah, he
to
said
take
to
him
his
out there.
agent, "Get me out of here." Yeah.
On your first
He was
day,
m-
on your first
he was
fucking day, it's
moaning
like,
everything.
why? This is ridiculous. So yeah, he would be my number one flop at United. Number
Definitely.
one.
Definitely.
But yeah. Aaron, give us your other winger, and then for the striker one, we'll sort of do it at the same time just to see if you picked the same guy or not. But yeah, give us your other winger, Aaron.
It have to be Jadon Sancho.
Sancho.
The guy's literally done nothing since coming to United, like, and that's been kind. Like, I think Chibi said in the group chat one time, or when I said about nothing, it was a bit harsh, but literally, I can't think of a single thing he's done at United. Like, I know he scored a few goals or whatever, but mate, he was billed as a generational talent. You know what I mean? Like, we all thought we was getting a generational talent. What we've seen him doing at Dortmund, like weaving in and out of players, assisting, scoring, and he's just not brought any of that. For me, he's not fast enough for the Prem. He's not physical enough. He doesn't seem to be smart enough for the Prem. He doesn't seem to really have any much footballing IQ. And now he's done everything, obviously, what he's done now. So it's like, for me, like you say, Sanchez being the biggest flop, I would put always Sancho up there as well, because
Far away is there?
Another
Yeah.
wage.
Again.
Yeah, as I say, another wage
Yeah.
issue.
he's literally done nothing. Yeah, he's Pogba level for doing nothing.
It's hard to disagree with that. Like, I'm trying to think of an argument against Sancho, but literally, like, he's been given multiple opportunities. Ten Hag sent him on an away thing to get his head right.
Yeah,
and
up
train
in the
and stuff like
hills
that.
or whatever he was meant to
Yeah,
be doing
like,
for 3
he's
months.
been doing that. He's played him in multiple positions to try and get the best out of him and unlock him. It hasn't worked. So yeah, I can't argue with it. Nick, anything to say on?
And just on Sancho, there's been things like, I'm not saying like I'm in the know or whatever bullshit like that, but I have heard stories from someone that some of the shit that he actually does as well, that obviously ain't in the papers and that, it's just fucking bizarre.
Well, there's been
Like,
rumours of it, and there,
weird.
like he did it at City. There's a reason, like under Pep, like Pep came and you thought Pep was the thing. He went from there. In the England camp, there's a reason he's never been back in England, because he was fucking about there. Dortmund, apparently they had to have a guy basically show up at his apartment door and his hotel door to get him out the door, to get him on the bus on time. And you're a fucking 20-year-old adult and you can't get up on time to go to work.
Yeah.
Like, it's a joke.
On that
Absolute
money
joke.
as well.
Yeah.
Like, lack of professionalism, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is Aaron's wing position. All right, strikers. I'd be interested to see what you've both picked. I don't explain yet, but I'll go Nick and then Aaron. Just say the name and we'll just see if they come back with the same name.
Right,
If not-
before we do it, because I've got a couple.
I'm not 100% sure on my striker.
No, yeah, I know who I'm going for.
Okay, Nick.
Falcao.
Falcao. Fuck's sake, that was mine.
Zero and Farah.
Again, I know I fucking the risk of repeating myself, because I said it so many times, but the reputation, what he did for Atletico, what he did Even in who was he at before Atletico? Was it the French? Was he in the French league before he went Atletico?
No, he went Atletico, then Monaco.
Monaco, yeah. Well, at Atletico, what is it, El Tiger? They called him or something like absolute monster of a striker. And if you could have him in his prime right now, fuck me, I would take him, especially in like the older kind of thing. But it came to United. Was it a loan that we got him for?
Yeah. He's coming off the back of a real bad knee injury.
Bad knee injury again. Schweinsteiger got injured. These guys have just signed. They were like, yeah. So yeah, coming off an injury, didn't live up to it at all. Scored 4 goals, I think. I didn't even score that many. I don't know how many it was, but it weren't a lot. Never worked out. Went to Chelsea, did fucking probably worse there, and then his career just came to a dramatic decline. So Radamel Falcao is definitely the biggest flop in my eyes in terms of strikers that we signed. I don't think there's one that can beat it.
Do any of you remember him at Porto before he got the move to Atletico, mate? He was a monster.
I think that's what I was trying to say. That the team he was at before Atletico Madrid, the reason why Atletico Madrid signed him, I think Porto played Atletico, and I'm sure that Falcao absolutely tore him apart. Yeah, you're
right. So many good players who have been fantastic, and then they've had a major injury, and then that's been it. Like that's all they wrote. Like it's happened so many times. I think Michael Owen, I know he's a dickhead, but he was one of the best sort of strikers, English strikers to come through, and apparently by like 25, he said his knees were done. Like he couldn't do anything by 25. It's like 25.
Yeah, he said from like 25, he was basically just goal langing.
He said, do you know what I mean? Like that's
sprint.
It's insane. But yeah, Aaron, give us your striker.
I struggled with this one, to be honest. Obviously, Falcao was my first option.
Yeah.
And then second, I was thinking, I know people are going to say Lukaku, but for me, he wasn't really a flop because his numbers and that are good.
The goals, didn't
he? His numbers were good. I feel like he was just towards the end when Ollie came in, you could tell he wasn't an Ollie player, so Ollie was playing him on the left wing, and he was just dreadful out there. But he still scored against PSG in that, and that was in his last season. So then I was trying to think, and there was I'm sure he was a striker when I was younger. Is it David Bellion? Is that his name?
David Bellion. Yes.
Bellion.
And he was one of the first. Obviously, I remember him coming in and that, and he just never really did it at United. But he had a good reputation again. So yeah, did he come from Bordeaux or did he leave to Bordeaux or something?
I thought, did we not buy him from? Oh shit! This is testing my knowledge. But yeah, I remember seeing. Did he go on loan to Sunderland at one point?
Yeah, I'm sure he did, and then we sold him to Bordeaux. But I don't know if we bought him from Bordeaux and he ended up going back. But
Sunderland like a fucking feeder club for us because Wes Brown went to Sunderland, didn't he? John O'Shea went to Sunderland.
Kieran Richardson went there.
Kieran Richardson, Paddy McNair.
Tyler Blackett. Did Tyler Blackett go there?
Loads.
Yeah.
Januzaj
went there.
Darren Gibson.
Ahmad, yeah. Fucking loads.
Fucking Darren Gibson.
Is that the full team done, Sam? I want to do some honourable mentions, like for quick fire, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Some players we haven't mentioned.
Can we do a flop manager?
Oh.
Using a manager team.
Go on, pick your managers.
Van Gaal.
That
football was dreadful.
Has to be Moyes, doesn't it, Nick? Surely.
Yeah. Again, I'm thinking about expectation and when they come in. For me personally, I was so excited about Ragnick coming. I know it's an interim thing, and I know he's not a manager.
I think that's unfair.
No. But I was excited. I mean, in the expectation, what I had for him to come in, because you listen to him speak, and the work that he's done at other clubs about. I thought he's going to be a fucking saviour to this club. Like, I can't wait. It got even worse.
He was like a guy that interviews well, but just can't do the job at all.
Yeah, he spoke so well. You listen to, you're like, oh, this guy knows football. Like, he knows what he's talking about. I can't wait for him to get in, get the coaches and get working with the players and all the way down. So, for me personally,
Go on, give us a couple of honourable mentions, because I've got some that I'm surprised you didn't put in there. So you give us your honourable.
Well, I don't want to ruin yours.
You go.
I've got some as well.
Go on, see if you've got the same as me.
On my list, Donny was one of them. Donny van der Beek.
Shall we all say one and then?
Yeah, go. Donny.
Right. Donny. Yeah, I'll go Kleberson.
He was on my list. I don't know why nobody said Taibbi. He was fucking awful.
He was just before our time, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't remember.
So
much
bad.
Of him,
So bad.
Yeah. Zaha.
Yeah, Zaha.
That's a good shout. It's a good shout.
Trying to think who else we bought.
I'll say one. And Anderson.
Yeah, go on.
Anderson. I expected a lot from
Yeah.
that guy, and then is a guy who needs oxygen on the pitch for a game because he didn't have the fucking puff to run for a game.
32 million quid from Porto as well.
Fuck off.
At the time.
That absolute bullshit, that one.
Yeah.
I have got one actually.
Go
on.
Borthwick Jackson. Remember
is he academy prospect? Can't pick an academy guy, man. He didn't cost us nothing.
Remember what everyone was saying? Oh, he's fucking crossing and that's bang on. I remember everyone was saying, oh yeah, he's fucking delivering that. He was shocking.
I'm not having that.
I've got an expensive one actually. 50 million quid. You know what I'm going to say?
Martial.
Fred.
Oh.
50 million quid.
I think it's harsh.
I think that's
it's a flop for 50 million quid.
No, I think.
I disagree, man. He was terrible.
He was half decent. It was not terrible.
For what you're paying though, think at a similar time, City spent 50 million on De Bruyne.
Oh yeah, he wasn't great. He was not great, but I would not call him a flop. Like we've had worse midfielders than Fred. So much worse midfielders than Fred.
I don't know. We'll have to agree to disagree. Have you got any more, Sam? Or
I think you've ticked all of mine.
Diego Forlan.
I love Diego Forlan though.
He was He
was.
And I know Sam loved him, I think. Or something.
Don't you dare.
Alan Smith.
Oh no, it's not Alan Smith. Yeah.
He flopped.
He did.
I think he flopped to United.
He had that horrendous leg break in the Champions League.
Yeah.
I remember that when the ball got smashed at his leg and just like
Wasn't it John Arne Riise that smashed the ball at his leg? And
I think it might have been.
It
might have been.
Broke it.
You're not mentioning your boy, Aaron.
I know, Memphis. I was going to put him as striker.
Memphis Depay again.
Is a good shout.
Came over, didn't work out. You got Dan James and Lukaku. You mentioned you probably wouldn't throw him in there. I'd probably agree with that. Antony is coming into that.
He's getting there.
Yeah, I didn't want to put him in because he's still can turn it around.
Give it another year. If he's still doing what he's doing, he's going in that team, mate. Do
you know what? If Wan-Bissaka didn't have his resurgence, I'd be putting Wan-Bissaka in there.
Yeah,
but he's paid 50 million.
He's been really, really good. So.
No, I think they're all good mentions. I'm looking in the chat. Tim 99, Jordi Cruyff. I think that might have been before your time.
Way before my time.
Yeah, way before my time.
Tellers, Hargreaves, Di Maria, Henrik Mkhitaryan, Falcao, Sancho, Martial from Dino. Anyone agree with Martial?
Yeah, 8 years, 50 million quid. Well, rising up to 50, wasn't it? Like 40 million. I would say, probably.
Yeah,
he's close to it.
My feelings to Martial.
There you go. Brian Taibbi. Yeah, I agree, Brian. Cleberson from Tim. Andy Gordon from Dino Lewis. I think that's before even my time. Andy Gordon.
Sounds like a butcher.
Schneiderlin. Weghorst. Nobody said Weghorst? No?
Weghorst was alone in it. It's like you knew what you was getting with Weghorst.
Yeah, it's like a Gallo.
You don't buy a fucking packet of Rich Tea biscuits from Home and Bargain and expect, a fucking... You know what I mean?
Jemba, Bebe. Does anybody remember Bebe?
I remember Bebe.
Do you know what? I was going to put Bebe in there, but I feel like we didn't have any expectation when we bought him because we didn't know who the fuck he was. You know what I mean? It's like no one had heard of him.
Young talent from fucking Portugal, whoever it was.
I'm sure there wasn't there a scam involving Bebe, like somebody like Fergie signed him without actually nobody had actually seen him play. I'm sure that was the case.
It was a recommendation of Carlos Queiroz.
Yeah, like nobody had seen him play and they signed him, which is fucking bizarre. Brian Casey, Mark Bosnich. Dino saying Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw?
No, definitely
He's saying 2 good years in 8 years at the club.
Nah.
Disagree with some lads there.
Just look how much we're missing him now.
Yeah. So that is the chat. That is the shouts from the chat. I appreciate the chat chucking those names in. Should we read through the teams? Like this is the teams. Next team is goalkeeper Valdez, right back Darmian, Maguire, Bailly,
Darmian.
Captain Darmian,
Right.
left back Gabriel Heinze, Schweinsteiger, Varane, and Mkhitaryan in the midfield, Alexis Sanchez and Di Maria on the wings, and then Falcao up front. Aarons, Barthez in goal, right back Varela, Jones and Blind as centre backs, Alex Telles in the left back, Schneiderlin, Pogba, Kagawa in the midfield, Obertan and Sancho on the wings, and then David Bellion up front. There you go.
Fucking shit pair of teams, that one. I thought you was going to pick one from each and combine, but they're two separate teams, right? So
yeah, and then we'll put it out, we'll vote and see anybody. Brian's put Fabio. Yeah, I did. I chucked in Fabio and stuff like
Did
that.
you hear the conspiracy about them? That he'd swap them at half time? Fabio.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I heard the other one is that he only wanted to sign Raphael, but they wouldn't sell him to him unless they bought Fabio as well. So they had to buy both of them.
Fuck it. Bring him in. Weird how the wing back. One's a left back and one's a right back.
Do you know what, though? I think we should revisit this, and do an all-time Premier League, because do you know what? When I got it mixed up, when Sam said in the chat, I was in work and I had nothing to do, and I had a little post-it note, and I came together with a Premier League team, rapid. And do you know what?
Definitely do that.
Do you know what? There's some ones that you're forgetting there, the price that they went for, or the move that they got, and there was some stinkers in there, honestly.
Yeah. We'll definitely get that done. We'll get that done.
We've got time anyway. It's international break, innit?
Yeah.
So.
Cheers, lads. Appreciate that. That was a fun game. We do have Jay Motti on this channel tomorrow, so do tune in for that. 6 o'clock. Please do tune in. Nick, do you want to wrap it up and then we'll get out of here?
So towards the reports are towards the back end of this week and the early next week is going to be when it's announced about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos taking over sporting control and 25% stake in the club. So when that gets announced, there's a video dropping, Ineos 10-step plan. It's a lot of research done on it, a lot of background into what we believe they're going to do when they do come in, and it's very insightful, so make sure you check that out when it drops. Like Sam said, we've got Jay Motti on tomorrow night, so always a good guest and always a good show every time we have him on, so that's going to be fun. And yeah, just as always, the members video dropped for you guys. I don't know if any of you have watched it. I'm not even dinging it, but yeah, that has dropped earlier on in the week. Real Reds react to tweets. If you want to become a member, click the link in the description, or click the join button next to the notification bell. Make sure you drop us a follow on socials if you can, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Real Reds Talk. Hit us up on messages, whatever, if you want to chat about football. And yeah, I think that's everything. So
Brian's got a request as we go.
Is that the capybara request by any chance? Yeah. I thought this had died off, but people are like reincarnating it.
People want it. People want it back.
I can happily bring it back. I just thought people would get bored of it, but yeah.
Capybara.
Legendary shit.
Cheers, lads.
Can't wait.
See you in a bit.
See you in a bit.